Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 198. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, the season of the Drifter begins to draw to a close, and we start getting ready for Season 7. More changes are announced for the Crown of Sorrow raid, and we get a preview of an update to the Eververse that may be just what we need. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT, and of course, CyborgSasquatch. Hello, friend.
Hey, what's going on, Guardian?
How are you, Guardian?
Hey, man, I'm just out here losing all my motes because I can't record a podcast and remember to bank my motes.
Dude, and we were discussing Tier 3 solo
Those
with
don't
randos.
go well either.
Reckoning, yeah, it's rough. It can be rough out there as a Guardian sometimes. Solo Guardian.
It's better when you pay attention. Put it that
Deposit those motes. Come on, especially, motes, hopefully Guardian. You're not running around with 20 of them.
Yeah, I just lost 14. I feel bad.
You're
man.
a sentry, though. You're not a collector, are you?
No, I'm running collector.
Oh, no.
I was like, guys, I'm running collector. I got this.
Oops.
You just lost 14 motes. Like, oh, it's not good. Good thing, though, is I got that perk, it lets me drop some of those motes on the ground.
Oh, very true. Yes, very true.
Lose them all, right?
Yeah, I was going to say I'll get into it in reset, but I've been trying to finish off my dredging title, and I kept trying to... I have like 3 or 4 things that I need to do inside of Gambit, just things I need to finish up, and I was trying to get my last... I had 2 of 3, the 3 of 3 of getting 40 kills without dying, but I kept, I was just totally going to do the thing, get all the kills. I'm running, the striker, middle tree, just melee from sky. And then I would decide I wanted to invade because I needed to do something with invading. And I'm like, I keep forgetting. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, Arrow, just chill out. You don't need to invade this game. Just wait, slow it down, and try to get your 40 kills before you go in and invade and probably die. But yeah, it took me a little bit to
done first.
I just want to invade.
It's fun to invade. I really enjoy invading in Gambit. I think a lot of people do. That's why, especially when the season started and everybody was trying to invade. And nobody wanted to be any of the other roles because, I don't know, reasons, because it's fun.
Yep, reasons. It is fun. It's a good time.
But,
well, there's that. Nothing like reset at the top of the show.
You got to do other things to win.
You do. Sentry is fun. You talked me into Sentry a while back.
I like Sentry a lot, man. Yeah. If I could just do that, I would, but there's too many other triumphs,
Right. Yep. Especially if you're going for that title.
Yeah. But it's a role that most people are not running. So there's usually a need for a sentry on the team. If you're playing and you're listening, go play sentry for a game and equip Polaris Lance and just sit back and get the most kills on your team.
Yep.
And you'll be like MVP, team MVP.
It is fun.
Yep. Well, I just lost more modes. So let's get out of the intro. Do we have any announcements?
We don't. I mean, we have a 200th episode coming up, so I'm sure we'll have some sort of announcement.
Yeah,
or
probably next
or
week.
Something.
Tell you a little something about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're hoping to have a couple of something special in store for you next week. If things work out, we'll let you know.
Yes, we'll keep you posted.
See how things
we'll
move
see
along.
If the timing, scheduling isn't OP
right
over the next week.
Everything is too OP though.
Right.
All right then it's time for the news, my friend, because the show must go on.
Midi Twab this week.
Yeah, and then an extra little bonus blog post from a little Bungie dev that came out of hiding this week, huh?
Yeah, this is we got like a little tease of him not too long ago, but now full blown post from
he's still
Mr.
out there.
Luke Smith. He's there.
Luke Smith still works at Bungie.
Talking about your favorite thing to do in Destiny, Cyborg.
Yeah. What is that?
Raiding. Are you still the raid machine, or are you falling off that a little bit?
No, he's still raiding. I'm actually, we're actually scheduled later this weekend. We're recording this on, what is today, Friday? We're scheduled tomorrow to make an attempt, finally make our attempt at Flawless Scourge. Hopefully, that will go smooth. I don't think it's going to be too bad. And I've got the same team, from our other Flawless, what was it, Last Wish. So I think we'll do okay. It's a shorter raid. There's just statistically less places to screw up, right?
Right.
That's what I keep telling myself.
You hope so.
Yeah.
Keep us posted.
Yeah, I will. But yes, raiding, and a blog post from Luke Smith that I did not expect. I thought the last word was made on raid plans last week, but
yeah,
there's an update titled World First Update, Crown of Sorrow from the Destiny dev team, and written by Luke Smith. And it's discussing a new idea that honestly I think is amazing and brilliant, and I'm surprised they never came up with it a long time ago.
Yeah, I was curious what your thoughts were. We haven't chatted since.
I think it's a great idea. So we're going to talk about this. Long story short, the post details that leading up to this upcoming World's First for this here raid that we're about to see on June 4th, that they're already doing something new and launching it on day one. They mentioned, we really wanted to try to do something different in starting it day one to kind of change the game up there. They say World's First races in Destiny are attempting to deliver the following experiences: power progression that challenges raiders to climb to compete for World's First, showcase team communication, game strategy, and player skill, and a watchable and fair World's First race. I think all those things make sense.
Yeah.
They do. So they go on to say the race is when the players test their mettle in the raid for the first time. With Opulence, we wanted to try something different and make the raid available on day one in an effort to make the raid race more fair and competitive. However, our best laid plans have turned this into a multi-week, cross-seasonal, powerful rewards storage competition. Kind of cracks me up. And it brings up a fair and interesting point, right? No matter what the team at Bungie has tried to do to think ahead and changes between seasons and other things, it seems like players are still finding ways to bank, an advantage going into the next season, because there's so much focus on trying to be raid ready, on that crunch before the raid launches, and of course, hopefully being triumphant in the World's First race. So they go on to say, we love players finding clever ways of leveraging game mechanics, but we wanted to step back and look at what's going to be the best player experience for those competing and those watching. So below is how we're changing the way the World's First raid window works for Season of Opulence and testing out a new mode called Contest. So when Crown of Sorrow goes live on June 4th at 4 p.m. Pacific, here's what to expect. While Contest is active, players will face an enforced challenge throughout the raid. This means power beyond certain levels will provide no advantage for a given fight. I.e., for the first fight, all power above 700 won't provide an advantage. And for the final fight, power above 720 will not provide an advantage. And then they mentioned they're going to deploy the update at 8 a.m. Pacific, and the game will go down at 10 a.m. Pacific, so that as many players as possible can get through the download and verification step and be ready for Opulence launch. It kind of makes me laugh because of PlayStation.
Oh, dude.
Xbox, we don't have the problem. We're just like, all right, it's downloaded. Let's go. So what do you think about this?
It's interesting, it builds off of that conversation that when we first heard that the raid was going to launch day one, 6 hours after. I think overall it's a good thing. No matter what they do, you're going to have that aspect of, just a certain amount of Guardians that can compete in World's First in the time frame. I mean, you got, what is it, like a 6 hour window here to...
Yeah, there's still going to be a grind there. Yeah. For power.
To get as close to 620 as you can, because it seems like maybe the final fight, 720, the final fight maybe.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you want to be as close to or at 720 to give you that much of an advantage, right?
Right, yeah.
But then also, obviously there will be drops in the raid that will hopefully help push you a little bit up. Mm-hmm. Typically raid drops when you're below level are, usually a big jump in power.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I mean, overall, it seems great. World's First raid race has always been kind of a thing, obviously, in the community in Destiny. Not everybody is able to participate, but these two things combined, I've tried to think about the different angles of it. I feel like, I'm trying to see if there's something I'm missing, but it seems like with these two things combined, it kind of makes it a little more accessible. I mean, like you said, there's still a window of grinding, but if you want to take off work one day now, you can take off launch day of the season, and there's a window here, and now there's this contest mode. So it definitely, they're definitely trying, it seems, to give, more Guardians a chance to compete, if you will.
Yeah. I think, right? So it's cool for the World's First because a lot of folks' argument has been, why not push it back a week, 2 weeks out, from launch, whatever, level the playing field. This accomplishes that just in a different way. And I think the most important way that it accomplishes that goal is that it takes the requirement of the team from trying to balance the entire power grind, right? Mm-hmm. Because when they launch a raid like this, they have to consider, all right, what are the power sources in the game now? What else are we going to provide? How does that play out? Like how... Yeah, we talk about, I think we talked about this last week, Fran, what's your power per hour, right? Like how much are you going to be gaining, and, where would you be if the raid launched on Thursday or Friday or day one or whatever it is, right? They have to balance and consider all those things because the initial raid experience is usually going to be more difficult because you're going to be underpowered to an extent. Nobody's going to reach max power on day one or whatever, or usually not even during the first week unless it's just an anomaly. And so they have to think about all those things and like balance drops and what's available out there accordingly. And this takes a lot of pressure off of that, especially when, we notice that a lot this season. There's so many ways for you to gain power now. Mm-hmm. They even went as far as, and I don't even totally know exactly what this meant, but I think that they capped some of the drifter bounties at 700 for next season. Right. So they had to take some of the available pools of power out. And my guess is because probably there's just too many ways to blow through and get a bunch of drops, right? Mm-hmm. So I think this is really important that it makes that process a little easier for them in terms of balance. And then also just, like you said, making it a bit more accessible, that they don't have to set the power deltas for the different encounters so high because certain players will power up too fast. And I think that is part of what they did with Last Wish. I don't know that was entirely their modus operandi for why they did that, but I'm sure it was part of it. Mm-hmm. And so in that way, at least on day one, I mean, this is just a 24-hour thing, but at least if you want to do it the first day, I mean, you could be at like 7, you can go in at 7:05 or whatever, or 7:10 or something, and you'll be fine. Like, you could probably, if you can figure the mechanics, like, you'll be able to get to the final encounter and still at 7:20. Like, that's not an abnormal delta to be facing for a final boss, like 10 or 15 under or whatever. Like, it's fairly common.
Right. Yeah.
So yep. I think it's a smart thing, and I think this is the best season to try it. Because it's the last season of this year. The stakes aren't as high for a big expansion, right? Mm-hmm. In trying something a little bit different. And for sure, yeah. I think this is the best time for them to experiment with this, and hopefully it goes well.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's interesting, because like you said, the community for a long time has been saying, why not push it back? I mean, even myself, and this is where you kind of got to step back for a moment, and we'll see how it pans out. We don't know for sure until we try it out, but this seems like, I mean, they know what the community, they hear the feedback, and this isn't something I had on my radar as trying both of these layers. A day one launch with a contest mode. I mean, on paper, this seems like it could really work. Yeah. And I was watching a video of Dados today. He was talking about this topic. Obviously, we know he's a big raider in the community, and a couple of points he had in his video that I hadn't really considered either is, like you said, this is a good time for this, because typically these seasonal raids are more about those deltas and stuff versus mechanic heavy. So, this will be a good opportunity to test it out. And the other thing, like you were talking about with them, hopefully being able to dodge a lot of the, obviously not even really exploits, but the power level and grinding and all the ways to do it. I mean, an example of that they even have to consider are things, you can, like what they're doing with the Drifter bounty and capping it at 700 at the start of Opulence. I mean, think about the one thing he mentioned was raids. Right. Yeah. Like, these will still be in effect too, I think. But all of the things they have to think about, all the way down to exotic quests, people that are setting on those, right? I mean, that's just an example. I mean, that in and of itself would be almost impossible to avoid, but it's just an example of all the different layers that people can get power in a slight advantage, if they're setting on an exotic quest or two to get that powerful reward, right?
After Forsaken and 2 seasons of just a ton of new stuff, new content, new power sources, there's just so many ways to work that system to get where you want to go. And if you got the time and like the dedication, you can store up the right things and like get the right quests ready to complete. And there's just all this stuff you can do. It's crazy. So
yep.
So I think this is a really cool idea, and I hope that it's executed well, and I hope that it accomplishes a really fun and interesting raid race. I'm planning on going in that Tuesday, not to race per se, but just because I want, this is a cool raid, like a full raid where like my team's looking forward to it. Of course, having to do with the callus and all that, right? Like everybody's interested in what it's going to be, and it could be a really fun raid. So I've got a team, and we're going to try to all take off work if we can and get in at reset and play the stuff and level up and everything, and see if we can just go in just to have fun and see if we can go in blind and get through it in the first day, or maybe even the first 24 hours or whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's cool, man. I mean, it's even the name of it's simple but cool, contest mode.
Yeah.
And it's for just for the first 24 hours, and then after that it'll be normal.
And if this goes well, like this can also, I think, really, especially for a big expansion, this can probably do wonders for a big expansion and how they're going to be able to balance things and not have to worry like everything won't have to hinge on that one activity, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah.
So looking forward to that. So that is the world's first update. Let us know what you think, guys, gals, kids, if you're listening. Let us know what you think about this. I think it's a move in the right direction. I think the community reception has been overall like positive on this idea. I didn't see too many complaining.
If they weren't, we would know.
Wasn't as bad as last week's
yes
commentary. So
yes,
some movement here, some movement there. We got to take it as it comes, right? And we do have some things to look forward to next week and next week's TWAB as well. So, but let's talk about this week's TWIZOB. This week at Bungie, we're setting the stage for the season of Opulence. Of course, we're just 2 weeks away. I can't believe from the season starting. It's right around the corner.
I really did feel the last 2 or 3 weeks, it did kind of set in more than maybe it felt like it did last season. Maybe for some it was the opposite, but I was like, man, even though I have stuff to do, it did really kind of feel like there for a couple weeks it was a lull, right? And then
it was a little quiet.
And then Outbreak dropped, and
Outbreak dropped just the right time.
It did. I mean, that timing, go back and look at our episode title. That was some excellent timing for sure.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So they mentioned, as we get ready, we were just talking about power. So they say the Drifter will return to his role as your Gambit hype man, and Benedict 9940 is about to become your source for brand new secrets and rewards. Let's take a look. So they mentioned Power Surge. So instead of a set of bounties, a new Power Surge quest will be your jumping off point for Season of Opulence. You'll need to complete this to access the new raid. Big improvement here. Learning from Season of the Forge, this quest must be completed only once per account. After one character completes the quest, alternate characters will be rewarded with Surge gear at power level 690. Man, that is huge.
Yeah, I thought I read that wrong at first. This is like the fourth time I'm reading it or hearing it now. That's just straight up saying, like right now I'm kind of still casually leveling my alts. I might as well just quit, right? If they're not 690, because it's an instant 690, basically.
I don't think you really need to kill yourself at, trying to do that, because just based on this, like, you'll be able to at least get up to 690. Now, if you want to be ready to grind power for the raid for day one, you're going to want your character or characters at 700. But, if you just want to be able to access and play some of the new content, I think this will get you there.
Yeah, this is really neat.
And save you a lot of time. I mean, we were just talking in Discord, and some of the guys were saying, complaining about having to rerun through the Forge quests on alternate characters.
Yes. I just didn't do it, man.
I did it on 2 characters fully, and on my 3rd character, I got him up to the Gofanon Forge.
Yeah, I straight up didn't do it. I started it on my 2nd character, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go do it. I have enough other things I need to get done.
Yeah. Well, I needed to, so that I could efficiently grind at the blacksmith title stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I could get like lots of weapons every week on different characters and get them like at powerful drops and just kind of make it more efficient. But it was a grind.
Well, plus there for a while, just the two frame options were all that counted, even like towards the ship and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I didn't even really start grinding that until after they fixed that. But yeah, if you were not doing that, then you would have to get your 2 powerful drops, and then you could only grind the legendary versions, which cost more modulus reports.
Right.
So you could do those. They didn't have to be powerful, but they had to be the legendary versions. But, there was, you had to like, it's like forging that weapon, go, all right, go get the precision kill streak or whatever, right? Super grindy. So anyways, so this is great. You do it on one character and it unlocks all the content account wide, and you can even just show up with your other guys and get the surge gear, which is pretty cool. And then next they mentioned Gambit bounties. I brought this up earlier. So they say we didn't want rewards from the Drifter to be one of the primary sources of power following his run as the central character for Season of the Drifter. As a result, power boosts received from Gambit bounties will decrease once you've achieved 700 power. So they're not capped, but it sounds like they're just going to be a lot less effective, and probably not the best way that you're going to want to grind power coming into the next season. So seems like there'll still be some gains. Like at first, the first time I read this was like, oh, they're like, you won't get anything, but it sounds like it's just going to be less advantageous. So
that's funny, because I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, wow, okay, so you won't increase power at all. No, it's just like classic. What is your priority order of the power increase you should grind, right? And Drifter's going to drop down on that list.
They go on, they will decrease even further once you reach 720 power. So interesting how like, I don't know.
Track of all this stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
It was complicated enough with Forsaken, like start at Dreaming City and then trickled, but now it's like, okay, Drifter, once you hit 720.
One of my buddies brought up, like, we're going to need the spreadsheets. I'm like, yeah.
Bring them back out.
Right.
I mean, all my spreadsheet had back in the day was which character had ran Vault of Glass, checkpoints. Yeah, now it's totally new world, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Complete new world.
They include some of the information that we've been provided before about prime attunements. So your prime attunements will be reset when the new season starts. You'll have 2 charges per each player. You'll receive 2 new prime attunements, even if you're playing right up to the reset. And they say, we want you to play your favorite character without it impacting your power leveling strategy. Which I think is great, because I don't like having to come in, like if I want to be ready for an activity and say, well, I got to play this other character first so I can boost them and then get my other character and play them and hope I have enough time. You know what I'm saying? Because it seemed like that was the only way. It ended up really being the only way that you could get powerful enough when Forsaken launched, if you were running multiple characters. And I just went in like, I was like, well, I want to dedicate all my time to this character and just get him up, but you kind of maxed out to where you could go. So anyways, they're kind of considering that, and I appreciate that a little bit. And then they bring up the Crown of Sorrow raid. We talked about some of these steps in the power contest and the surge bounties. You will need to do that power surge quest before you can access the raid, FYI. Other things we didn't talk. I think everything in here we've already talked about. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, so that's all covered. And then we get an update to Eververse.
Here
of course,
we go.
Right?
I believe this
Of course, there's changes to Eververse.
Right, though, but the first line, first bullet point was a nice surprise here, I think.
So why don't you tell us what we can expect here?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard not to cringe when we see a heading of a section in the TWAB called Eververse Updates, but the very first bullet point direct pick. Every new Eververse item in Season of Opulence will be available for direct purchase via Silver or Bright Dust.
Yeah, so this is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've been asking for a while. Obviously, it's just going to be, it appears to be Season of Opulence items, the newest items.
Right.
But we'll be able to direct purchase any of them. So that's a plus. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then
I like
most of these offers will be time limited with new items available weekly. So obviously we'll still have like the typical rotation and such. And then here's one, dude, I was excited about. Greatest Hits, Season of Opulence. Bright Ingram will contain a collection of community favorite legacy items with a focus on the best of year one. So for example, if you missed on Spicy Ramen, Selfie Emote, Season of Opulence is your chance. Dude, I never got the selfie emote, so I'm super pumped about this.
Oh, man, yeah.
I that is one I really wanted, and I never got it. I don't know if I probably missed an opportunity to grab it at some point at one reset maybe. Mm-hmm. And then I can't remember if it was like a direct one up on the rotation or not, but I never got it to drop. Regardless, before or after that, so I really want that one. I want
so stopping you real quick, so if I'm understanding this right, like the new season items are not going to be in this season's Bright Engrams.
It's what it sounds like.
So they'll only be obtainable for direct purchase with Bright Dust or Silver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I think you're right.
I guess, I mean, it's cool, like, we'll be able to directly purchase what we want, but then, we're not...
I wonder if they missed the mark, right? Because part of the excitement of getting those new seasonal engrams is to get the new stuff.
Yeah, and, old stuff. What a lot of people's take on Eververse is like, well, I don't mind it as far as microtransactions go because I play enough that I don't have to buy anything, right?
Right, yeah.
To get what I want. Like you can get everything in the engram up until this season just by playing. And I guess like that's not technically false because you can get Bright Dust through playing now, but I'm very curious if they're going to adjust the quantities on some of those bounties because I mean mainly your source for Bright Dust but besides like doing the little Eververse bounties is you're going to get rid of stuff that you didn't want, right?
Yeah, that's the primary source for me, definitely.
And so that's going to cease. Like you're not going to have that because you're not going to be buying stuff you don't want. Right. So unless probably going to have to be buying Bright Dust. Mm-hmm. At some point, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, obviously, maybe that's partially their goal. They're giving us direct purchase option, but we're going to run out of our stuff that we've been able to kind of bank.
Yeah, it almost seems like they want to this point.
It's a good observation.
Tank everybody out, like get people to spend that Bright Dust. Because I mean, I have friends who have like over 50,000, over 100,000 in Bright Dust, like ridiculous amounts. Like I'm not kidding. I don't have that. I have less than 10,000 now.
Yeah, I'm usually somewhere between 5 and 10,000.
And
again, it's from breaking stuff down. But I wonder too, though, on that greatest hits, like the Bright Ingram, that's the old school best of year one stuff. How much you'll get on those? Because obviously,
that's true, right?
Can we still break those down? We'll still replenish ourselves a bit.
Good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that because you'll be getting those items. And especially if they're duplicates, you'll be dismantling that stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully, I didn't really... That was a good catch on your part because I didn't think about that angle of it as far as... I mean, this clearly says right here, the Season of Opulence Bright Ingram will contain the best of year one items. And it is always fun part of the season to get those engrams and get the new stuff. So hopefully they don't miss the mark here because of that little layer. I think hopefully the Bright Dust concern won't be huge. Maybe we can break down this old stuff. And it never really it seemed like a big issue, at least even in my play style and my play time, to have some Bright Dust. But I don't know, man. Hopefully we finally get direct purchase. Hopefully this other piece doesn't throw that off a bit, you know, and make it a little less exciting.
Here's what I hope that we see, right? This is something that I've complained about before, is because of the way the system's set up now. I mean, honestly, they create a lot of filler stuff, right? I mean, there's stuff in there that, you know, some of it's questionable. Like, okay, maybe it's somebody's taste, but there's definitely stuff in there that's literally carbon copies of stuff from another season with a different paint job. There's stuff in there that is not desirable in terms of fashion or anything else, right? Like,
right.
There's definitely stuff in the Eververse that seems like it's created for filler. Okay, like I'm not like trying to take a shot at any of the artists or anything like that. Like, this just seems to be like part of, you know, okay, they have to have items that fill up these containers, these loot boxes.
So I don't play the Fortnite these days, but it's almost like the things on the battle pass that you're like, meh, like most of the things on there that are just little spray things or whatever.
So my hope here is that there's less of that and there's more quality stuff, because they're going to want to make things that sell. Whether it's for silver or it's for bright dust. Like, they're going to want to make items that are desirable, that are cool, that are unique. Like, people aren't going to buy a lot of stuff that are reskins or that are not unique, right? So hopefully there's more quality and less quantity, and I think that strategy could really be a win for them in the Eververse. So they go on to say, after the greatest hits, tell us about the armor and some of that stuff
the armor
they talk about.
Yeah, they say full armor sets will be made available as a single per class bundle, as opposed to being offered only via Bright engrams. Individual armor pieces can also be purchased for Bright Dust whenever they appear on the storefront, and these armor pieces featured fixed perk rolls that are not randomized across duplicates. So that's an interesting change. Bundled armor. Why not?
Yeah.
If you like it. I will say, like, the Titan stuff for this season, I like the shoulders and the arms and such. The
I wasn't a fan of this season. So, well, it was a reused asset.
Right.
But
it was the what was the old I'm always looking though
set,
for
right?
some decently cool looking. I think that's always the struggle as a Titan, to find some cool gauntlets, because sometimes they're just too bulky, sometimes they're too small,
much shoulders.
Sometimes they look too much like toasters.
Yeah.
It's just the classic struggle as a Titan. But anyways, that's a pretty cool little tweak there. We'll see how it pans out. And moving on to simpler interface, they say specific items are now featured on the front page and will be cycled with each weekly reset. Most offers will be time limited to make way for rotating inventory, with some coming back into rotation at a later date. Players can access this new interface by visiting Tess in her usual tower location. So if you want to, Guardians, go pull up the TWAB this week, you get a nice shot of what the Eververse storefront is going to look like now. And I must say, great work on the design here. It's very appealing to the eye. It definitely screams, you know, microtransaction-ish.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more on par with what you see in other comparable storefronts.
Very much so, but it's not. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, we're not.
They've got to feature this stuff, and this. I would say I like this because right now, you kind of have to dig to find stuff, right? If you don't go look in those engrams that they're selling for silver that have the different bundles of stuff, every week, you would totally miss it. Like, if you didn't know what those were. So this just kind of puts everything up front and center and clear, and hey, here's what there is, you know?
I mean, I nerd out on this stuff, and even if it's Eververse, I gotta say it's clean and pretty. It definitely, like I said, I used the phrase screams, but it just reminds me, it's a way cleaner version, I think, but just in the little time I've spent in Apex or Fortnite, it reminds me of, like, hey, here's this cool thing, look how big this thumbnail is over here. Kind of thing.
And I like some of the stuff they're showing off that we'll see.
For sure.
Like, really cool Sparrow, a couple cool emotes and stuff. They did that. So in the Reddit thread for the TWAB, there was a lot of commentary and responses from the community team, especially on this particular topic. And they did mention that they said most of the items in the store are going to be for Bright Dust. And what we're seeing is kind of like the first page, and there will be, other pages that you can tab through to see the other items available. But I like what we're seeing.
Yeah, no, I dig it, man. Yeah, it's always easy to I guess
the only thing that I'm
portion
like
some trouble,
not
but
pleased about is the fact that like they're going to successfully get me to buy more silver.
Oh yeah, and obviously, I mean that's a goal.
I want to support my game, but I hope it doesn't become such that like every cool thing that I want, I'm gonna have to throw down a bunch of money into silver, because I do appreciate that every season, like we get some cool new emotes, we get some cool new cosmetic items, right? And I play enough, and so I don't have to throw down a bunch of money every season. Like, but I
hopefully we get enough to still break down
really quickly, becoming like, okay, I had to spend $50 this season to get the stuff I wanted. Like,
yeah, I think the important thing with Eververse, and while it's never bothered me much, of course, I mean, if you've listened to the show, I don't spend a ton on Eververse. I've maybe spent $10 or less in the entirety of Destiny 2, and probably the same throughout Destiny 1. But the importance is, and I think where the community, where they start to hit aggravation levels, is when it's the loot box percentage mechanic, or you're paying for a chance, or when it's things that you would like to see in the game. For example, I mean, you think of things like the Black Armory ship, right? Like that thing is where it should be. You grind the Black Armory and you get this probably one of the coolest looking ships in the game, not just go buy it at Eververse.
Right.
So while we want cool things at Eververse, it's I think it's just important that there's balance on both sides of the game, and that's when it starts to feel intrusive or not intrusive, right? So,
yeah, I'm complaining about it, but I would much rather things be up front and center and like, all right, here's what you want and here's what you pay, rather than relying on like a gambling mechanic or something like that.
And cosmetic is just a big piece of it. It's always the big piece of it. Like emotes, sparrows, some that might be a stretch for some, but skins. Things like that. And speaking of skins, they give us a little tease of a Arbalist ornament on the front there, which I'm excited about. Yeah,
stuff like that. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. I'm into it. They go on to introduce a new way that they're going to be able to handle like refunding items, and that when you buy something, it's going to be wrapped. So basically, like you buy the item, right? And then it goes into your inventory, but it's in a wrapped state, meaning you have to go open the item to actually, have it. And I think that's smart because what it does is it allows you, if you didn't open it, then you can get a refund, I think within 7 days. You have 7 days. So if you bought something on accident, or if you have buyer's remorse, right? There's a way to handle that without, having to say, okay, I need Bungie support to give me my money back because I accidentally spent $10 on this sparrow and I didn't mean to, right? So it's smart.
Nice little window there.
But once you open it, you can't get your money back. So
plus on top of that, even in this section, the community knows anytime they show us little snippets like this, they've got little teases of thumbnails and stuff in here too. Looks like maybe some other ornaments. Who knows if? Yeah, I would imagine they're more than just placeholders, but yeah. Go look at the TWAB, guys.
It's a good fun way to tease. Cool. So that's the Eververse stuff. next up is Destiny player support. Now, Cosmo did also mention on, I think, Twitter and on Reddit. There we go. Drawing a blank there. That we are going to see some previews to the sandbox that we haven't seen detailed yet, including some potential buffs to some things. So it's not all just nerfs.
Can we just think about this for a second? We had the TWAB last week, and we couldn't even get to recording that night before the community, and through no, I mean, rightfully so. I mean, anytime we talk about nerfs, the community needs to analyze that. But we got Eververse in the TWAB this week, and it's Friday. And nobody's. That's a positive, man. Nobody seems too aggravated. And Eververse was in the TWAB, so
everything's kind of chill so far. Knock on wood.
Sorry, knock on wood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on. Sorry. just an observation.
Yeah, that's a good sign. They're doing some things right. Mm-hmm. So what else? There was a couple other things. Oh, they mentioned so there was like I mentioned, there was a lot of comments in Reddit on this particular TWAB, and Cosmo also mentioned that because somebody said, "Have y'all abandoned PvP?" and he said no. Later this summer, we are going to be discussing some of the upcoming changes to PvP. So I don't think we can expect anything at launch for this season. Anything major on the PvP front, it sounds like, but we are going to be hearing soon this summer some of the future of PvP in Destiny 2. So
can't wait.
Yep. So we get next week info on buffs. We get a preview of the pinnacle weapons for next season. We're going to, let's see, going through some of these comments that he had here.
You had that random one we were laughing about. Somebody posted on Reddit and said, please, the new 6-player activity, let us launch it from orbit. And Cosmo did confirm. Whatever, we have no idea, but whatever the new 6-man activity is, we will be able to launch it from the director.
Yes, thankfully. So, we really need to be able to
do
those things.
Forges.
Those are important. Yeah. I think that was a lot of the major stuff. Just wanted to make sure that they got their 2 cents on those things there. So further on in this week at Bungie, over in Destiny player support, they talk a little bit about day one preparations for the Crown of Sorrow raid. So if you haven't completed the Power Surge quest, of course, you won't be able to access the raid. They also mention if you join in progress during the first encounter of the raid, you will load in dead outside of the encounter space. So they warn to make sure that when you plan to go in, like, everybody join up in orbit and then launch the activity. And I think that's obvious. So, like, if somebody's a couple minutes late and they're like, well, let's just go ahead and start, right? Mm-hmm. You won't be able to bring a 6th person or another person in. So keep that in mind. What else? Some problems with seasonal weapon drops. Service Revolver and Last Perdition will not be available to unlock when the new season starts. They're going to work on a patch for that. If you've already unlocked them, you'll continue to get them as random drops. But if you don't unlock them before the June 4th deadline when the season starts, you'll have to wait until that is patched. So keep that in mind. I don't think those are too hard to unlock either, right? Don't you have to just like get some packages or whatever?
Yeah, it's nothing
for Service Revolver or something.
Yeah,
I don't even remember.
I think it is actually it's a triumph to run strikes, like a certain amount of strikes. I think.
Okay.
For the Service Revolver, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long. Everybody's after that Service Revolver. Perfect roll now, man.
Yep.
It's like the new hand cannon hotness. It is. They finally mention it's worth noting that pursuit rewards such as the Recluse, Oxygen SR3, and 21% Delirium will continue to be available.
You just have to keep in mind your rank will reset or whatever if it pertains to something. Yes.
Better off to finish them next week if you can. That's what I would recommend. All right. Next, finally, we got the movies of the week. Some cool stuff, some unique videos this week. One little mashup of some Toland audio files with some Guardians. And then The Beauty of Destiny 2. I always love those videos.
Mm-hmm. I love those. I actually haven't been able to catch these yet. I need to go watch. I always love those, dude. Those are so good.
It's cool. All right. So they wrap it up saying, there is going to be a new raid jacket for this season. Mm-hmm. They say, with the finer points for the systemic changes on the table, we can next turn our attention to revealing the places you'll go and the reasons you'll fight. Right now, our focus is on opulence, but after the season is launched and the raid belts have been awarded, we'll be looking deeper into the future and sharing with you more about a new era for Bungie and Destiny 2. Buckle up and stay tuned.
I saw somebody tweeted this week as well. I don't remember who it was, but a little snippet of the Blizzard launcher, and it said published and developed by Bungie now.
Yeah, they updated that this week. Cool.
Yeah. Little neat thing. That's very cool. I feel like the community kind of takes ownership and pride in that kind of thing as well.
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, to take it all the way back to the beginning of the TWAB, I meant to ask you, is this, I know there was speculation, but is this the first official confirmation that Benedict is our vendor? I know it was pretty much probably
the first official
already,
one for sure. Yeah.
Because there was speculation there early on that it was going to be another frame.
Or I think now it's eluding me. I can't remember the other frame's name that we think is involved, but yeah, definitely Benedict will be our vendor, at least to start. Right? He'll have the Power Surge bounty. I'm interested to see what that is. Like, I'm assuming it will be something to kind of set up the activity. Mm-hmm. I hope it's not just like, okay, go run 5 strikes,
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I kind of like that. My initial hope was that it would be, like almost like an entry level story quest or something you'd see in a bigger launch, which I think is what you're.
Yeah, kind of. Like a quest. Like, okay, here's what's going on, and like you go do this. Kind of like the Black Armory Forge quests were a little bit like that. Like they're kind of telling the story of what's going on through the quest, right? And that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
something like that. So
I hope so.
We'll see. I think that's all the news this week.
Yeah, I think so. It's
a lot of big news.
Raid and Eververse heavy conversations.
Yeah, season's heating up. It's heating up, man. It's getting ready.
Exciting times.
Yep. So, Arrow, let me ask you, how is your reset?
Dude, my reset's been great. I this is funny talking spreadsheets. I have like a Google Doc. Obviously, we use Google Docs a lot for the show, but I have a personal account, obviously, and I use Google Docs a lot throughout the week, just for like daily things that I would like to accomplish throughout the week. And I added a portion to it because typically, it's like pay this bill or go do this at lunch or those kind of things. Well, I added a portion to the bottom of it. In addition to my gaming, my Destiny to-do list, I have fine-tuned it even more, and I pull from that overall list now, and I put actually on the day, like, what I want to do that evening, so I can stay focused, because there's so many things to do in Destiny right now.
There is a lot.
There is, man, and of course, I nerd out with spreadsheets and such. So, like, this week, I had alternating. All right, strikes to get that pinnacle done, Gambit to get that done, and in Gambit, man, like I still need to finish up Malfeasance. I'm trying to get Dredgen still because I focused on Wayfarer for so long, and I'm trying to get that reset for Dredgen, and I'm stacking like 3 or 4 different Gambit related items. And then, I'm trying to wrap up these Pinnacle quests. And so anyways, nerding out a little bit, trying to stay strategized on my Destiny to-do list. And with that, I was able to finish. I got my Recluse this past reset, so I was excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, I was pumped to finally get that and check that one off the list. That was the first one.
What do you think?
Dude, I love the thing. Everybody was telling me, you
So
included,
cool.
that it's a beast on both sides of the game. And yeah, man, like what really finally just got me back. It's so weird because I usually spend so much time in the Crucible, but there's, like we mentioned earlier, there's been less Crucible love right now, I guess. I think it's coming, probably beyond opulence like we talked about, but at some point it'll return. But with that, it's taken this Crucible Guardian kind of out of the Crucible a little bit, and I've been spending a lot of time on the PvE side of the game. And it got me back in the Crucible because once I got my hands on Arbalest, I was like, dude, I gotta have the Recluse to go with that gun. It just seems like it would work so well.
Yeah.
So I dove in and finished it off. Few games, hit Fabled, and then I got to give a shout out to the Dirt Fam because we went on another competitive tear, just like a 10-game win streak, 10 plus probably, and finished off my wins. And I got the thing, and then another shout out to the community because I kind of tweeted out that I had gotten it. And I actually, again, everyone was telling me on both sides of the game, so I threw a counterbalance on for PvP, and then I got to give a shout out to a Twitter Guardian. I had so many tweets, I don't remember exactly who it was, but somebody told me to throw a major spec on PvE for the PvE version of using
smart.
it. Yeah, dude, so I just went, we were talking about that before the show, I just went and bought another one for my collections, and now I have one on my Titan and one on my Hunter. And dude, that thing, I love it, man.
I didn't think about buying another one.
Mm-hmm.
I just threw a counterbalance on mine and was like, yeah, this is perfect,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But major spec or even a backup mag could be really good.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because you do tear through that mag quick. That is one thing that I noticed, obviously, being
it was funny because I got some arms the other night to drop, and they had submachine gun loader, and I was like, yeah, I need that.
Mm-hmm.
Never said that before about that perk. I was like, I'm going to run this with my Recluse, man.
Yeah, dude. It's a beauty. I'm super pumped to have that one done. I did also finish... I've mentioned this on the show before too, but I hopped on just kind of a random time one night this week, and I was at the last part of the Thorn quest finally. I know some of the listeners are like, "Come on, Arrow, like you're behind on some of this stuff." It's classic. I've mentioned before those exotic quests. If it's not like a super potent exotic in the Crucible, even though Thorn's not too bad, I usually kind of take my time getting them. But I set out again on my to-do list to get the Thorn, finish it off, and I was at the Crucible portion of it. I think I mentioned that last week. So I grinded that out, and then I got to the quest and or the strike portion of it, and I actually just used the Bungie Fire Team portion of their app again because it was such a random time. I didn't post in Dirt Fame Discord, and dude, sure enough, boom, I threw up a little fire team, and I might have actually ended up joining someone else's, but I can't stress enough, dude, that built-in fire team section of the Bungie app, there's people posting in there all day long, man. You can just throw something up yourself, grinding strikes for such and such, and I've very rarely had it where people don't join. But anyways, boom, finished off the Thorn quest thanks to a couple rando guardians out in the community, so I've got my Thorn now, and man, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to just alternate strikes in Gambit to wrap up. I really want the 21, is it 21%?
21% delirium.
Yeah, you've been telling me about it. I obviously want to get it I wanted it before you were telling me about it, but just spending time doing other things, and now you've been talking about it and how much you're using it. So that's,
I almost kind of forgot about it or got distracted from it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh man, I still don't have this gun. I need to get this. It's got to be good. And It's kind of a sleeper. Like, I think it got some attention when it first came out, but then
it did, yeah.
people were more focused on recluse or this or that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's such timing in the game right now too, because I did spend some time this week running Gambit, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe I should focus on strikes, because usually at the end of the season they have a infamy, times whatever. And sure enough, we get the message today, I think, when you log in.
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times. Yep. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run strikes. I'll just hold off. I'm actually about to reset my Gambit infamy rank anyways, but I may go. Here's a question for you, man, because part of the Dredgen title, of course, is that you have to get the don't you have to get the badge as well for all the
yeah, you gotta have the gear.
Right, the gear. So the only thing
gear.
I don't have, obviously I've got to have Malfeasance, which I'm almost there. I'm on the last step. I've just got to kill 4 Guardians when I invade. But the Ghost is the only other thing I don't have. That season, I think last season, I played a ton of Gambit and the Meatball was coming up. I got everything but the Ghost. Does the Ghost, I see that he has it at his, Drifter has it right now for 3 resets. Is that always what you get for 3 resets?
Yes.
Or does that rotate every season?
Nope. That's the reward, and that's how you get it.
That's how you get it. Okay, because I remember talking with some of the Dirt fam, and they're like, do 3 resets and you'll get, I think maybe you get an emblem as well.
Maybe,
but
I don't remember.
I was hoping, because if you go, again, this was kind of like when we talked about the Black Armory ship, I went and looked in collections and it said rank up packages through the Drifter is all it said for the Ghost.
Yeah.
And I was worried that your answer was going to be you got to reset it 3 times.
I don't think it has to all be in one season though.
Okay.
I think it's just 3 times,
Okay.
And then
well, that's a little bit different. I was just thinking, and it probably wouldn't take that long. I wonder how fast I could shell out 2 resets on 3 times.
On 3 times, it's insane. If you get on a win streak, oh man, you'll fly through it. It's crazy.
So I may just save all my Gambit grinding for next week and try to go ahead and even shell out that 2 more resets I need.
Yeah, if you're cool with spending some time on it and just get a team and go into regular Gambit.
Mm-hmm.
And just
that's what I've been doing too. Yeah, exactly. I've just
been
running regular Gambit.
And you will definitely you'll definitely at least get a rank up.
At least, yeah.
Cool. It really only gets punishing once you get into the legend tier, where you only get points by winning. But for the lower tiers, I mean, it's like even a loss, you'll get on triple, like you'll still get a decent number where you'll fly through it, man, for sure.
Yeah, I've been trying to, another thing I did this week is kind of take stock on my current title status, like the different titles, where I'm at with them, which ones I feasibly can get. Obviously, I don't raid a lot these days, so that one's pretty much out, at least for the time being. Anyone that requires a raid. So I kind of put on a list. Of course, Unbroken is something I've always kind of working towards, but hitting Legend, 3 different things. That one's going to take a little bit. So Dredgen, I've got Wayfarer, and Chronicler I would like to have, but again, I'm kind of just taking stock now where I'm at. Yeah, because there's a lot of that stuff now that's 100%, 50% drop rate, right?
Yeah, as far as for sure.
Yeah, so that's one I hopefully would like to have. Obviously, I got to see where I'm at with the Dreaming City, because that's probably what will hold you back the most as far as a time factor, I would think.
It could. I wouldn't say that was the most time-consuming part of that.
Okay.
I don't know, but now it's like it's kind of all changed, so I don't know.
Right. Different world than when you were grinding.
Yeah. A lot of it had to really grind to get through, but now it's not so bad. Isn't Tangled Shore Flashpoint?
Rocking 5 titles, right? Yes, it is. That's a very good point. When that came up this week, I was like, I had already done my research, so I need to go run those heroic adventures, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To get that stuff.
I think even today, if you had some time, I know you may not, but the Rider, I think, might be the adventure today, and that's like the best one to grind, because you can do it super fast. Because you can take her off of her whatever sparrow thing, that she rides, like you can just shoot her off of it with a linear fusion, like just 1 or 2 shots and just like finish the adventure immediately. So you can breeze through that thing really fast.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I might have to try to do that.
And if you had like 30 minutes to jump in there and just knock a bunch of them out real quick, probably be worth it.
Yeah, man. So I mean, that's what I've been doing. I haven't played much anything else this week. It's been nice to get back in and spend some time on Destiny. What about you, man? What have you been up to?
I've played a little this week. I would say, let's see, what did I get into? So we didn't get to talk about this, I don't think, last week, was the last 9 invitation of the 9. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So that came up, and that was kind of a different deal, because up till recently, all the invitations were like, you had to do strikes, and everybody was all salty because you had to do a bunch of Crucible this past week for it. So you had to do like basically 3 Rumble matches and 3 comp matches. And, I had actually never really tried Recluse in Crucible since I got it. Like, I was just using it in, PvE because it's so fun and good. Well, I brought out Recluse in a Rumble game. Oh my good Lord. It is not fair. Like, it is not fair. I got hate mail, and I don't get hate mail. Okay. I don't get hate mail about anything. And they were just so salty because I went on a tear, man, with this gun.
That perk, dude. I mean, increased damage right on any weapon kill, so you can swap.
Especially on a small map where you can really take advantage in Rumble of a lot of combatants. Like, it was just really good. And I'm not that good at Crucible, man. It was just OP.
And when you go on a tear in Rumble, it always feels so great.
Oh, yeah. You feel like just indestructible. Like, I had like a 9 kill streak in Rumble. I mean,
yeah,
that's not easy to pull off. So
Rumble,
that was cool.
That's where you learn.
I don't know how long until they nerf that gun, but we'll see. Maybe they'll leave it where it's at. And then I did the heroic portion of Outbreak Perfected, right? Getting my Siva nanite clusters so I can work on my what is it called?
Outbreak.
But the catalyst.
Oh, sorry, that's
the
catalyst.
What I'm trying to say, catalyst. So, and then we did the void section of the puzzle. That was this week. So we're 1 week behind. We've got to do it one more week, this coming reset, to finish it out. But Guardians who were able to do it the first week, they were able to finish that and unlock the cool, if you will, ship. Did you see a picture of it?
Oh, dude, yeah.
It's so funny, man. It's cool. I think it's really cool, but it looks just like this junky, like, to use a Destiny term, kit bashed ship. I think it's really cool and unique, though.
The thing about
it's no
ships
Nano
is
Phoenix or whatever.
They can be like the Black Armory ship is just sleek and awesome looking, but the thing about ships is they can be super ugly and still cool because
still be really cool,
right? Because it's hard to get, and it's people will be like,
remember the space toaster, the original Iron Banner space toaster, man. Like, everybody loves that ship.
Yep.
So that was cool. That's the reward. It's a show off thing, right? It's just to be like, yeah, I got it. I think remains to be seen if there's any other secrets in that mission, but we're gonna finish it off, and then I'm like, with what we did, I think I'm 1% away from finishing off the catalyst as far as the nanite clusters. So next week that'll be done, and I hear with the catalyst it's pretty dang good. As if it wasn't
as well.
Good already,
right?
And then you brought up the Black Armory ship, and lo and behold, I'm flying that sucker right now.
Very nice.
Got my 100 Black Armory weapons forged. Finally finished that off. That was a grind, man. It wasn't too bad. A lot of people had to work a lot harder.
Dude, nice, man. Congrats. That's awesome.
So
I actually just this week picked up a bunch of the rare bounties just to try to complete as I was doing other things.
Yeah, just pick those up every day because you're gonna.
I hadn't been doing that.
Yeah, you're gonna need the Modulus reports, a lot of them, and so if you can like stockpile them in your Postmaster, it'll help you later.
Very nice.
So for blacksmith, I need only to finish the Scourge flawless, and then there's like another triumph that we'll do at the same time. It's basically finish the racing portion. It's called a Blazed Glory without losing a fire team member. So we'll be able to do those both at once. The thing I was worried about is I needed this one last shader for the collection, and it was the House of Mayrin. And this shader is amazing because it's literally the Iron Man shader. It's like red and bronze. So it's just beautiful. And the last weapon I forged dropped with the shader on it. I was like, yes.
Nice.
I was worried I was going to have to hit 100 and just keep grinding to get this shader. But it just so happened I got it. So I was happy about that.
Very cool.
Got really lucky. Like the RNG gods had mercy that day. They were merciful. So yeah, I'm hoping maybe in the next week I might have blacksmith and have 6 titles under my belt.
Very nice.
I got to give a shout out. Congrats to a friend of the show, Lulu.
Yeah.
I always want to say Lulu Soccer, but I think she goes by iLulu now, right? She successfully completed every seal, every title.
Wow.
Is that not just god awful?
I saw
impressive?
A tweet a while back where she was super close. I didn't see the one where she got it.
Yeah, just the other day, I want to say maybe Wednesday or something, she posted about it. I mean, what a grind. I mean, not to say like, I've never played Crucible with her, but I mean, the toughest title in the book is Unbroken. So, I mean, to grind all the other grindy stuff out and then have 3 seasons of hitting Legend under her belt too. I mean, good Lord, that girl knows how to grind.
Craziness.
Gotta give her props. Craziness. So, pretty cool. Everybody was hoping like there was a secret seal when you unlocked all of them, right?
Yeah.
One pops up and it's exotic. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe they'll do that at the end of like next year or something, but who knows?
That would be really cool. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have a seal for Solstice of Heroes this summer. Mm-hmm. Like one that's just like a bunch of different things from across the different expansions, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, unless, I don't know how that would go over well, but unless that's when they implemented the, hey, if you got all the triumphs for all the live events and that one, you got the seal. Yeah, that might be revisiting the ship grind and having to run on all 3 characters too.
Yeah.
That conversation. Anyways, that would be cool though. The titles, I don't remember if I just said this to you or maybe I said it on the show last week, but titles are, even just having Wayfarer, it's probably one of my favorite things they've added to the game. I just really enjoy
we talk about them every week. I mean,
yep,
they're such a big thing for hobbyists that still, grind the game and want to play, and it gives you that, like, a fun thing in investment games. Like, you have to have aspirational content,
right?
Like whether it's a tough activity or like a milestone or something. And I think the titles deliver that aspirational content that like make completing a difficult or grindy objective, like all the more worth it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
especially because you can show it off. And I think that's something since all the way back to Destiny 1 that has always been important to Destiny players, like the ability to show off, whether it was a piece of gear or a rare shader. And that changed a little bit how you could do that in Destiny 2 because things were not as unique. Mm-hmm. So adding titles kind of added back in that infamy and that.
Oh, for sure.
You know.
Yeah, just stuff. The triumphs in general.
Yeah.
It was like Grimoire score times 100. So, yeah,
I think me and like 12 other people were the only ones that cared about Grimoire score. I mean, there were some people like they would grind Grimoire score, you know, but it was just totally like, you know, so they could see it on Destiny Tracker. You know?
Oh, right, yeah. I'll tell you what, that emblem going into Destiny 2 got me grinding more Grimoire score. I had to make sure, what was it, you had to have above 5,000 or something.
Yeah, that was a cool one, but nobody wears it anymore, you notice.
Very true. It's funny, every now and then I did a little while back. Now I'm running the Trials emblem on all three of my characters just to...
Oh, gross. You're flexing
reminisce.
That? Come on.
Just to reminisce, yeah. But I just miss Trials, man. But before that, a lot of times I would throw... I would throw on those classic, the ones we got moving from D1 into D2 on each of my characters. And that would be one of them that I would throw on. I usually put it on my Warlock.
We need to have like a day every year for like veteran Guardians, right? We all wear like a shader and like a certain emblem to show off like, all right, I was a D1 player or something like that. Not to be like elitist.
No, yeah, not at all.
Oh, yeah, I see you. Me too, you know?
Yep.
It will surprise you how many players, you know, D2 is like their first experience.
Mm-hmm.
It'll surprise you.
Yep. It's cool though, man. All Guardians welcome at any point of the game.
All right. Well, that was my reset. I mean, that's pretty much all I've been into this week.
Very cool. I know, man. I feel like we said earlier, the new seasons, even though there felt like there was a little bit of a lull there, that's creeping up on us. I didn't realize how much I wanted to try and get done before it starts.
There's a lot.
Now I'm scrambling to get it done for a couple weeks here.
Can't get done before the season ends. Like,
yeah, and it's like again, we don't have to, but it's like you want to just kind of just knock it off the list and start the new season, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I would love to have been closer to finishing the Reckoner title, but like there's so much grind involved and I was behind, you know, on the other titles. I was like, well, I'll get Blacksmith done first, and then the time I have left, I'll work on, you know, Reckoner. And so I've started to kind of like prioritize that now because I'm not grinding Black Armory weapons now.
Right, for sure. This is, I mean, and we won't trail off into that conversation, but this is, I think, in a way why I like this structure better, just because it definitely feels more like a live service game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like all the different things you have to work on each season. And while at launch and, you know, throughout, it seems like it's a big chunk of a time period. It's like, wow, when the new season starts creeping up, like I said, it's like, oh wait, I've got all this stuff I wanted to finish before. So I don't know, I do enjoy this. Again, we don't have to creep into that conversation again, but I enjoy the structure. I still do, at least. Hasn't changed.
There's things that work and there's some things that don't work perfectly, but I think for the right kind of player, like there's a lot of things that have really enhanced the experience of this year.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's definitely pros and cons of each structure, but everybody plays the game differently.
Yeah, I think that like some seasons had hit or miss, you know, parts to them, but like overall, a lot of the bigger picture stuff worked well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even for like my play style, it's been a little bit more difficult to solo some of the content this season than it was with the Forges.
Yeah, this season is a hard season to do solo.
Yeah,
I'll say that. The Forges were a lot more accessible as a solo player.
Right. So, it happens.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time for some old Derp Fam discourse. What do you say?
I think so, man. We got email this week, I think, right?
Yeah. You want to read the email? You want to do it?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to.
I love when you read emails. No.
This email is from Daniel with the subject. What a great subject line. Thank you. He says, "Hey guys, I'm a relatively new listener and just wanted to reach out and thank you guys for the great content. I've been playing Destiny 2 consistently since launch, and it has always been discouraging when content creators complain about the current state of the game. I love your positive attitude for the game. You guys were one of the few creators that had constructive ideas behind the changes of Luna's HAL and didn't treat it like the end of the world. I loved your excitement in the discussion around Outbreak Perfected and its quest. I also love the occasional dad commentary. I have 2 young kids and can relate to a lot of the stories and situations."
Nice.
Good old dad guardians.
Yes.
Parent guardians. Goes on to say, "I'm excited about the low power gate for the new raid. I wasn't able to get a high enough power level to do the last wish until a month or 2 after it was released. I think lowering the level will allow the more casual players to level up during the week and try out the raid blind over the weekend. Most of my clan are pretty casual and don't grind to max light very fast. They play for the enjoyment of the game. This opens up the opportunity for them to participate days after the release instead of weeks after the release. Also, thanks for keeping the language clean. I listen to the podcast while taking my 7-year-old to school, and I don't have to worry about them overhearing anything inappropriate. It may sound silly, but this is huge for me. Thanks again for everything." Well, thank you, Daniel. A lot of
thanks for
kind
the email.
words. And that email means a lot to us.
Yeah, definitely some encouraging stuff that we appreciate hearing. We don't like to toot our own horn, but we appreciate you telling us what you like.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We do definitely make an effort to keep the show family friendly. Even when we have guests on, we're like, "Hey, guest, just in case you didn't know." No, we say it nicer than that, but
well, especially I think even more so that we've had a lot of guardians tell us like that, like, "Hey, I listened to the show with my kid," and so we're like, okay, not that we didn't feel this way originally, but because of that, we respect that, and we value the responsibility and the trust that those parents give us, that they feel good about push and play on that show,
Definitely. Yeah, of course, us having little ones of our own, we think about them listening to the show and things of that nature. Speaking of little ones, I told you at Cyborg last week, not to go off on a tangent here, but everyone knows we named the last episode Sour Patch. I told my son that because we love Sour Patch Kids, and he was super excited.
Oh, that's awesome. And, we were laughing as well about that. That came up because we call my daughter Sour Patch.
Yes, yes.
Because she's literally like the commercial Sour Patch Kids. Like, she'll do something really just snotty, or just throw a bunch of attitude, and then she'll do something mega sweet, and you're like, I don't know how to be mad at you, but that was not cool.
those daughters, man.
Yeah.
It's so great though. And I don't know, it's good times. Me and Cyborg every week, we record the show, and then we talk about the intro, and then we spend a few minutes just brainstorming together on the episode title. And for the most part, I think we're decently, we have some fun with it. Hopefully the listeners enjoy the titles. This one was fan service for our kids this last week.
Yep. But getting also to the core part
Topical.
Of his email about the low power gate for the new raid, I think it is good. Like, we at least know the final boss, right, is at 720. I mean, that is certainly more accessible.
Right.
We do have to keep in mind, and I wasn't totally clear about this at first, but the contest mode is only for 24 hours. I almost wish it was longer, just so that even after the contest, the world's first contest is over, that maybe for the first, into that weekend, there would be that ceiling, right?
Right. Yeah.
But by then you have to expect as well, people are going to start to power up and may hit higher power faster, and you don't want people just going in totally overpowered. So anyways, but yeah, I think this could be good overall for a lot of players, and I'm excited to hear that Daniel's going to give it a shot. And
I would like, hopefully Daniel will follow up, because I think he sent us this email obviously before the drop we got yesterday with the other raid news. So it'd be interesting to hear his thoughts on the contest mode.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. But thank you for your email, Daniel. And if you're listening and you'd like to send us some Dirt Fam discourse, whether that is some commentary on recent Destiny news or something about what you've been playing and what you're interested in right now, or if you even want to just give a shout out to something cool that somebody is doing in the community, love to hear about that too. Send it our way. You can email us, destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com, or send us a speakpipe, speakpipe.com/destinyreset.
Do it, Guardians. We always love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Don't hesitate. If you're thinking about it, just do it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, do we have any new patrons this week?
We still have one pending, waiting on that Guardian.
All right. I'm sure they'll email us back eventually.
I think we pinged them again this week, but no shout outs yet.
Okay. Well, if you're listening and you don't know what a patron is, go to patreon.com/destinyreset. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of our show. If you do so, you get a shout out on the podcast. You get your gamer tag posted on our website, and you get an invitation to a Discord channel just for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters, where you can talk about things like whether you should eat Pop-Tarts toasted or not toasted, what your favorite frosting is on your cupcake, I guess other non-food related stuff, but the food related stuff is really the best content we have in there.
Yeah. I mean, what is it about conversations that usually lead to something about food or something about having to go to the bathroom? Right?
I guess.
Do you not end up talking about poop, especially with kids, man? Poop's usually a
kids find that pretty funny.
Yeah.
They like talking about that. All right, man. Where can people find you on the internet to talk about food and poop?
Things and stuff. You guys can find me on Twitter and YouTube at AER0KNIGHT with a 0. What about you, man?
Awesome. You can find me at CyborgSasquatch on Twitter, and you can find us at Destiny Reset on the Twitter, or you can hit us up on the web, www.destinyresetpodcast.com. That's your source for all things DRP, including links to subscribe on your favorite podcast app of choice. Speaking of podcast apps, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, thank you for your reviews. Mm-hmm. If you've been leaving them, we got some new ones. Got some shout outs this week?
Yeah, we do. We actually went and looked at our little tool that we're using now, and we think we might have started using it right around when these Guardians left a review, and we're sorry if we missed you, but here you go. Theron from Australia. Thank you, Theron. And Thomas from the UK. We really appreciate the reviews.
Awesome. Hey, like I said, if we can break 300 by episode 200, have some special surprises in store. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you have not left a review, even if it is just a out of 5 stars, whatever you believe is appropriate, please go do that. It helps us get seen and heard by more listeners just like you.
285.
Yep. Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah. Very exciting. All right, man. I guess we can call that a show. Let's put it in
another week.
Wrap it up.
I am going to continue the strike grind.
Good luck.
Good luck on your reckoning runs if you revisit that tonight.
Rough today.
The solo reckoning runs. Yeah. They're rough sometimes.
Yeah.
Good luck. All right, guys. Until next reset, Have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.